You ever stop to think about how people treat each other? No, not the surface level niceties, the smiles that don't reach their eyes, the hollow words they throw around like confetti at some cheap party. I'm talking about the real stuff, the ugly underbelly of humanity, the way they take without giving back, the way they use until there's nothing left, and then toss aside what remains like it was never worth anything to begin with. You know what I mean, don't you? Of course you do. Because if you're here listening to me, chances are you've been on the receiving end of that kind of cruelty more times than you care to admit. Let me tell you something. People aren't built for kindness. Oh sure, they'll talk a big game about love and loyalty and all those pretty little concepts they parade around like trophies, but deep down, they're predators. Every last one of them. They circle their prey carefully, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, to sink their teeth into something soft and vulnerable. And once they've had their fill, once they've drained every ounce of value from whoever they've latched onto, they move on. Just like that. No remorse, no second thoughts. Only emptiness where something meaningful used to be. But here's the kicker. You let them. You opened the door, didn't you? You welcomed them in with open arms, thinking this time would be different. This person, this situation, it wouldn't end the same way all the others did. But oh, how wrong you were. Because guess what? People don't change. They just get better at hiding who they really are. They learn to mask their selfishness behind sweet promises, their indifference behind fleeting acts of affection. And you, poor fool that you are, fell for it, hook, line, and sinker, again. Do you see the pattern yet? Or are you still sitting there, staring at the wreckage of your life, wondering where it all went wrong, wondering why they left, why they betrayed you, why they chose someone else over you? Stop. Just stop. It's not about you. It never was. People don't leave because of something you did or didn't do. They leave because they're incapable of staying. They're too weak, too broken, too consumed by their own needs to even consider yours. So why waste your energy trying to figure out their motives? Torture yourself with questions that have no answers. Here's the truth. You weren't the problem. You were the solution to their loneliness, to their boredom, to whatever void they couldn't fill on their own. And when they got what they wanted, when they sucked you dry and left you hollow, they discarded you like yesterday's trash. That's what they do. That's who they are. But you're still stuck, aren't you? Still clinging to the scraps they left behind, hoping against hope that maybe, just maybe, they'll come back. Spoiler alert, they won't, not really. Not the version of them you thought you knew. Because that person never existed in the first place. They were just a mirage, a projection of everything you wished they could be. And now here you are, drowning in their absence, haunted by ghosts that wouldn't recognize you if they saw you again. Pathetic, isn't it? How much power we give to people who don't deserve it. How much of ourselves we sacrifice for the sake of someone else's fleeting attention. But let me ask you something. Why? Why do you keep doing this to yourself? Why do you keep letting them in, trusting them, making excuses for their cruelty? When will you realize that the only person you're hurting is you? Listen closely, because I'm about to tell you something important, something you need to hear. The world doesn't reward kindness. It doesn't celebrate compassion or honor selflessness. No, the world eats those things alive. It devours the gentle, the generous, the ones who dare to believe in goodness, and spits them back out bruised and broken. And you're living proof of that. You gave everything you had, poured your soul into someone who couldn't even be bothered to catch you when you fell. And for what? A few moments of false comfort? A temporary illusion of connection? Was it worth it? Really? I didn't think so. So what do you do now? How do you pick up the pieces of a life that feels irreparably shattered? Let me tell you a story. Have you ever watched a forest fire burn? At first, it seems destructive, chaotic, unstoppable. Trees collapse, animals flee, the earth itself seems to scream in agony. But after the flames die down, something incredible happens. New growth begins to emerge. Stronger, healthier, more resilient than before. That's what pain does to you. It burns away the old, the weak, the unnecessary, leaving behind something stronger in its place, if you let it. But most people don't. Most people cling to their scars, wear them like badges of honor, reminders of what they've lost. They dwell in the past, replaying old memories, reliving old wounds, refusing to let go. And you know what happens to them? They stay stuck, forever trapped in a cycle of regret and resentment, unable to move forward because they're too busy looking backward. Don't be like them. Don't let your pain define you. Use it. Let it mold you, shape you, turn you into something unbreakable, something untouchable. Because that's the secret, isn't it? The key to surviving in this brutal, unforgiving world. You have to become untouchable. You have to build walls so high, so impenetrable, that no one can ever hurt you again. And I'm not talking about physical walls, though those help. I'm talking about emotional armor, mental fortitude, the kind of strength that comes from knowing exactly who you are and refusing to let anyone else dictate your worth. Once you have that, once you truly understand that you owe no one your vulnerability, your trust, your love, the game changes. Suddenly, you're not a pawn anymore. You're the player. The one calling the shots, deciding who gets in and who stays out. And trust me, the moment you start playing by your own rules, the moment you stop waiting for permission to live your life, people notice. They don't like it. They don't understand it. Because they're used to controlling you, manipulating you, using you. But now they can't. And that terrifies them. Because the truth is, people thrive on dependency. They feed off your need for approval, your desperation for validation. Take that away, and they have nothing. Nothing to hold over you, nothing to exploit, nothing to keep you tethered to them. And that's when they panic. That's when they come crawling back, begging for forgiveness, promising they've changed. Don't fall for it. Don't let them trick you into thinking they're worth another chance. They're not. They never were. And the fact that they left, that they broke you, that they betrayed you, that's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of theirs. You don't need their apology to heal. You don't need their closure to move on. All you need is the understanding that they were never meant to stay, that they were just a chapter in your story, not the entire book. Close the door, lock it, burn the damn key. And when they come knocking, when they try to worm their way back into your life, smile, watch. Let them rot outside where they belong. Because here's the thing about revenge. It's not about anger. It's not about getting even. Real revenge is silence. Real revenge is indifference. Real revenge is walking away like they were never there in the first place. You see, they expect you to cry, to scream, to beg, to fall apart at the seams. They expect you to make a show of your pain, to prove to them that they mattered, that they had an impact. But you deny them that satisfaction. You erase them, not from your mind, no, that's impossible, but from your heart, from your life, from every corner of your world where they once had a seat. You delete them completely. And when they realize what they've lost, when they finally grasp the magnitude of their mistake, it will destroy them. Not immediately, of course. At first, they'll pretend they don't care. They'll act like you never mattered, like they never needed you, like they're perfectly fine without you. But give it time, give it months, years, maybe even longer. And one day, out of nowhere, it will hit them like a freight train. They'll wake up in the middle of the night, staring at the ceiling, and realize that no one else gives them what you did. No one else listens the way you did, fights for them the way you did, loves them the way you did. And in that moment, in that split second of clarity, they'll feel something they never expected, regret. But regret is useless, isn't it? Because the door is closed now. The bridge is burned. The path back to you doesn't exist anymore. And that's the real punishment. Not screaming, not fighting, not giving them a chance to explain. Just absence, just silence. Just the undeniable, inescapable truth that they can never have access to you again. Most people think revenge is about destruction, about making someone feel what you felt. But that's small, that's weak, that's what they expect from you. Real revenge is growth. Real revenge is success. Real revenge is proving, without a single word, that their absence didn't break you, it made you. It forged you into something they can never touch again. And the moment they realize that, the moment they understand that you're no longer within their reach, that's when they truly lose. Because what they did to you, what they put you through, that was supposed to ruin you, that was supposed to leave you shattered, crawling, desperate for any scrap of validation they'd be willing to throw your way. But instead, you turned it into fuel. You took that pain and built something out of it, built yourself out of it. And now, when they look for the person they left behind, when they search for the weak, broken version of you they once knew, all they find is someone stronger than they ever imagined. Someone who doesn't need them, doesn't miss them, doesn't even think about them anymore. And that's the part that kills them, because people like them thrive on being needed. They feed on attention, on the idea that they hold some kind of power over you. And when they realize they don't, when they see that you've moved on, that you're thriving, that you never even glanced in their direction again, that's when the weight of their choices crushes them. That's when they finally understand what they lost. But by then, it's too late, because you're not there anymore. You're not waiting. You're not listening. You're gone. And that is the greatest punishment of all. You ever notice how people only value something once it's gone? Oh, it's hilarious. They'll spend years taking you for granted, treating you like an option, walking in and out of your life like it's a revolving door. They'll use you, drain you, enjoy the warmth of your loyalty without a second thought. And then one day, you're just gone. No warnings, no goodbyes, no explanations, just silence. And suddenly they care. Suddenly, they remember all the little things you did for them, all the ways you stood by them, all the times you held them together when the rest of the world had already given up. Suddenly, they're haunted by what they lost. But here's the thing. They don't miss you, not really. They miss the version of you they could take advantage of. They miss the convenience of your presence, the comfort of knowing you'd always be there, the security of having someone who actually gave a damn about them. But you're not that person anymore. You're not the safety net, the backup plan, the shoulder to cry on when their new distractions don't work out. No, that version of you is dead. And that's what they can't stand. That's what keeps them up at night. The realization that they don't get a second chance, that they can't undo what they did, that the damage they caused wasn't just a bad moment, wasn't just a mistake, it was a permanent shift. They expect things to go back to the way they were, expect you to be the same person who would have welcomed them back with open arms. But instead, they find a locked door, an empty space, a version of you that doesn't even acknowledge their existence anymore. Because that's what real loss is. Not anger, not arguments, not some dramatic goodbye where they get to plead their case. No. Real loss is walking away without looking back. It's refusing to engage, refusing to explain, refusing to give them even a sliver of your attention. It's letting them sit in the silence they created. letting them drown in the emptiness of a life without you in it. And trust me, they will feel it. Not right away, of course. At first, they'll pretend it doesn't matter. They'll act like it was their choice, like they're better off, like they never needed you in the first place. But time has a way of exposing the truth. Because one day the noise fades, the distractions lose their appeal. The people they replaced you with, they don't measure up. And that's when it happens. That's when they wake up in the middle of the night, staring at the ceiling, realizing they destroyed the one person who actually cared. But by then, it's too late, because you're not there anymore. You've outgrown them, outlived them, moved beyond them, and they're stuck, frozen in a past where they still mattered. But the world has moved on. You have moved on. And that is the greatest punishment of all. Because people like them, they don't fear losing you, they fear losing access to you. They fear becoming irrelevant, becoming just another name in your past, just another mistake you learn from. And when that fear becomes reality, when they realize there's no way back in, it destroys them. Because now they have to live with the knowledge that they had something rare, something real, something priceless, and they threw it away. But here's where it gets interesting. They'll never admit it. Oh no, they'll never let you know how much it eats at them. They'll put on a show, act like they don't care, pretend their life is so much better without you in it. But beneath it all, beneath the forced smiles and fake confidence, they're hollow. They're haunted because they know deep down in the part of themselves they refuse to acknowledge they made the wrong choice. And you don't have to do a damn thing. No messages, no revenge, no dramatic confrontations, just silence, just absence. Just the undeniable truth that they will never have access to you again. And that is the one thing they can't handle. Because now they have to live with the consequences of their own actions, with the weight of their own choices. And you walk away untouched. You see, there's a certain kind of power in being the one who left, in being the one who walked away, in being the one who refused to be anyone's second choice. Because most people, they never do. Most people hold on, hoping for change, waiting for apologies, clinging to the idea that maybe, just maybe, the person who hurt them will wake up one day and finally understand what they lost. But that's not real, is it? Because if they truly valued you, they never would have put you in a position to leave in the first place. So you stop waiting, you stop hoping, you close the door, you lock it, you burn the damn key. And when they come knocking, when they finally realize what they lost, you let them knock. You let them scream. You let them feel the emptiness they once forced you to sit in. Because the most powerful thing you can ever do is never let them have the chance to hurt you again. People don't expect consequences. They live their lives stepping on others, taking what they need, walking away when it's convenient, always assuming they can come back when they feel like it. They treat loyalty like an unlimited resource, assuming it'll always be there, waiting for them to claim whenever they feel lonely enough. But they never stop to ask themselves what happens when it's gone. What happens when the person they abandoned is no longer waiting? What happens when the door they left open is suddenly locked, bolted, sealed forever? Oh, they don't think about that, do they? Not until it's too late. Because that's the thing about life. You don't get a second chance at people who were real with you the first time. You don't get to use someone, discard them, and then waltz back in like nothing ever happened. That's not how this works. You either cherish what you have, or you watch it disappear. And once it's gone, once the damage is done, there's no fixing it. The apology will never be enough. The regret will never undo the betrayal. And the excuses will never erase the fact that when they had the chance to do right by you, they didn't. And that's what will haunt them, not the fights, not the harsh words, not the final goodbye, but the realization that they were the ones who ended it. That their actions, their choices, their selfishness was what sealed their fate. And no matter how much time passes, no matter how many nights they spend replaying the past, trying to convince themselves that they made the right decision, deep down they will always know they didn't. They lost something rare, something real, something they will never find again. But you don't mourn them. You don't waste another second of your life wondering what could have been, what should have been, what might have happened if they had just chosen differently. Because that's not your burden to carry. It never was. You gave them a chance. You gave them time. You gave them everything they needed to prove they deserved you. And they failed. That's on them, not you. You move forward. You walk away, head high, heart intact, soul untouchable. You leave them in the past, where they belong, trapped in their own regrets, drowning in the weight of their own mistakes. Because you are not a second option. You are not a backup plan. You are not a revolving door that people can walk through whenever it suits them. You are the one who decides who gets access to you. And once that door closes, once the final chapter is written, once the story is done, it stays done. And then they will live with the reality that they had something they will never, ever get back.